Welcome to day 82 of 365. This study will upload on March the 24th at 5 p.m. Yesterday, we read about how the ancient Jews wandering in the wilderness were made holy. And we might think it was by following the laws to the letter, by making the right and appropriate sacrifices as prescribed for their particular sin, by the holy holiday of Yom Kippur, placing all of the sins, even those they don't realize they made, onto a goat and basically sending it off to hell, so to speak, with their sins, sending their sins to hell on a goat. And they were getting closer to holiness by obedience, but is ultimately by faith, as the author of the book of Hebrews, who I believe is Paul, and so do many other great Bible scholars, explains to them that it was by faith. Remember, they are having faith in God to forgive them. Abraham, when he was asked to sacrifice his son Isaac, Abraham didn't question it. Prior to Isaac being bound on the altar, he asked his father, "Where's the sacrifice?" And Abraham very prophetically said, "God will provide the sacrifice." So we're covering much of the same today. We're going to read in Leviticus, yet more laws. Remember, there's laws on laws. And we're going to read from the book of Psalms, which is always lovely. And then back into Leviticus, because we're going to learn about blessings for obedience. There weren't just warnings for failing to live up to the law. There were blessings for living up to the law. And then we're going to go back into Hebrews so that the author of the Hebrews can explain more to us about how all of that is faith. So thanks for joining me today. Let's hop into Leviticus chapter 7. This is the law of the guilt offering. So there are laws for offerings as well. If you break the law, you must make an offering, and there's a law for that offering. It is most holy. In the place where they kill the burnt offering, they shall kill the guilt offering, and its blood shall be thrown against the sides of the altar, and all its fat shall be offered. The fat tail, the fat that covers the entrails, the 2 kidneys with the fat that is on them at the loins, and the long lobe of the liver that he shall remove with the kidneys. The priest shall burn them on the altar as a food offering to the Lord. It is a guilt offering. Remember, it is not in the actual sacrifice of these animals that God takes delight. It is in their desire to sacrifice, their repentant hearts. Every male among the priests may eat of it. It shall be eaten in a holy place. It is most holy. The guilt offering is just like the sin offering. There is one law for them. The priest who makes atonement with it shall have it, and the priest who offers any man's burnt offering shall have for himself the skin of the burnt offering that he has offered. And he can use that skin to make coverlets or whatever he may need, as well as the priest's families may dine on this food. This served 2 purposes. One, I'm not going to put one on top of the other, but one was to provide for the family of the Levites. That was their job. They weren't carpenters, they weren't shepherds, so they weren't making a living, so to speak. They were provided for by the people whom they were serving, mediating between man and God. And the other is to prove that by this ritual, they made that meat clean. Therefore, they could eat it. So it's very symbolic. It's all symbolic, and it all points to the final sacrifice, the best sacrifice, the blood atonement of Jesus Christ. And every grain offering baked in the oven, and all that is prepared on a pan or a griddle shall belong to the priest who offers it. And every grain offering mixed with oil or dry shall be shared equally among all the sons of Aaron. And this is the law of the sacrifice of peace offerings, that one may offer to the Lord. If he offers it for thanksgiving, then he shall offer with the thanksgiving sacrifice unleavened loaves mixed with oil, unleavened wafers smeared with oil, and loaves of fine flour. Why unleavened? I, I, I think I said this in a previous upload. Because leaven represented sin. Not always. You could eat leavened bread on not Passover, Sabbath, and so forth. But it represented sin. Oil represents the Holy Ghost. So they are mixing the Holy Spirit without sin when they are talking about unleavened bread or flour and oil. Unleavened wafers smeared with oil and loaves of fine flour well mixed with oil. With the sacrifice of his peace offerings for thanksgiving, he shall bring his offering with loaves of leavened bread. And from it he shall offer one loaf from each offering as a gift to the Lord. It shall belong to the priest who throws the blood of the peace offerings. And the flesh of the sacrifice of his peace offerings for thanksgiving shall be eaten on the day of his offering. He shall not leave any of it until the morning. But if the sacrifice of his offering is a vow offering or a free will offering, it shall be eaten on the day that he offers his sacrifice. And on the next day, what remains of it shall be eaten. But what remains of the flesh of the sacrifice on the third day shall be burned up with fire. If any of the flesh of the sacrifice of his peace offering is eaten on the third day, he who offers it shall not be accepted, neither shall it be credited to him. It is tainted, and he who eats of it shall bear his iniquity. Tainted by disobedience to God, which falls under, I am the Lord your God. You shall have no other gods before me. Flesh that touches any unclean thing shall not be eaten. It shall be burned up with fire. All who are clean may eat flesh, but the person who eats of the flesh of the sacrifice of the Lord's peace offerings, while an uncleanness is on him, that person shall be cut off from his people. And if anyone touches an unclean thing, whether human uncleanness or an unclean beast or any unclean detestable creature, and then eats some flesh from the sacrifice of the Lord's peace offerings, that person shall be cut off from his people. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the people of Israel, saying, You shall eat no fat of ox or sheep or goat, the fat of an animal that dies of itself, and the fat of one that is torn by beasts may be put to any other use, but on no account shall you eat it. For every person who eats of the fat of an animal of which a food offering may be made to the Lord shall be cut off from his people. Moreover, you shall eat no blood whatever, whether of fowl or of animal, in any of your dwelling places. Whoever eats any blood, that person shall be cut off from his people. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the people of Israel, saying, Whoever offers the sacrifice of his peace offerings to the Lord shall bring his offering to the Lord from the sacrifice of his peace offerings. His own hands shall bring the Lord's food offerings. He shall bring the fat with the breast, that the breast may be waved as a wave offering before the Lord. The priest shall burn the fat on the altar, but the breast shall be for Aaron and his sons. And the right thigh you shall give to the priest as a contribution from the sacrifice of your peace offerings. Whoever among the sons of Aaron offers the blood of the peace offerings and the fat shall have the right thigh for a portion. For the breast, these are very detailed, but rabbis understand it completely. And even though they are not offering animals today, they observe these laws. They eat only this right thigh or the breast. I have taken from the people of Israel out of the sacrifices of their peace offerings, and have given them to Aaron the priest and to his sons as a perpetual due from the people of Israel. This is the portion of Aaron and his sons from the Lord's food offerings, from the day they were presented to serve as priests of the Lord. The Lord commanded this to be given them by the people of Israel from the day that he anointed them. It is a perpetual due throughout their generations. This is the law of the burnt offering, of the grain offering, of the sin offering, of the guilt offering, of the ordination offering, and of the peace offering, which the Lord commanded Moses on Mount Sinai, on the day that he commanded the people of Israel to bring their offerings to the Lord in the wilderness of Sinai. That ends our reading in Leviticus 7, laws and laws on laws, which we're going to read, would give them blessings. So let's go to Leviticus 26 before we read the Psalms, and let's read Leviticus 26. Blessings for obedience. You shall not make idols for yourselves, or erect an image or pillar, and you shall not set up a figured stone in your land to bow down to it, for I am the Lord your God. You shall keep my Sabbaths and reverence my sanctuary. I am the Lord. If you walk in my statutes and observe my commandments and do them, then I will give you your rains in their season, and the land shall yield its increase, and the trees of the field shall yield their fruit. Your threshing shall last to the time of the grape harvest, and the grape harvest shall last to the time of the sowing, and you shall eat your bread to the full, and dwell in your land securely. You will have plenty. You will have good, rich harvests. You will eat well. And so in our modern terms, you will eat well. You will eat off the fat of the land. Your life will be blessed. You will live peaceably, and no one will be able to harm you. Verse 6, I will give peace in the land, and you shall lie down, and none shall make you afraid. And I will remove harmful beasts from the land, and the sword shall not go through your land. This is also prophetic, I think, because the lion will lay down with the lamb. While we're alive on the earth and the earth is cursed, if we are obedient to God and we have his blessings, we are protected from harmful beasts and pestilences that would harm our harvests, our fruits, and our vegetables. But in the world to come, the lion will lie down with the lamb. There will be peace among animals and humans, and the whole earth will be healed. You shall chase your enemies, and they shall fall before you by the sword. 5 of you shall chase 100, and 100 of you shall chase 10,000. And your enemies shall fall before you by the sword. I will turn to you and make you fruitful, and multiply you, and will confirm my covenant with you. You shall eat old store long kept, and you shall clear out the old to make way for the new. I will make my dwelling among you, and my soul shall not abhor you. And I will walk among you, and will be your God, and you shall be my people. I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, that you should not be their slaves. And I have broken the bars of your yoke, and made you walk erect. And we're stopping there at verse 13. In Leviticus 26 because we're asked to, and I think that's a great place to start. So now we're going to go to Psalm 39. So now we've read about a blessed life, having a blessed life, and now we're going to read about what is the measure of my days. Before we get into this, I would say that the measure of our days, if we walk with God, would be measured more by quality than quantity. But let's see. To the choir master, to Jeduthun, a psalm of David. So it means to the tune of a previous psalm. I said, I will guard my ways, that I may not sin with my tongue. I will guard my mouth with a muzzle, so long as the wicked are in my presence. I was mute and silent. I held my peace to no avail, and my distress grew worse. My heart became hot within me. As I mused, the fire burned. Then I spoke with my tongue. O Lord, make me know my end, and what is the measure of my days. Let me know how fleeting I am. Behold, you have made my days a few handbreadths. and my lifetime is as nothing before you. Surely all mankind stands as a mere breath. Surely a man goes about as a shadow. Surely for nothing they are in turmoil. Man heaps up wealth and does not know who will gather. And now, O Lord, for what do I wait? My hope is in you. Deliver me from all my transgressions. Do not make me the scorn of the fool. David here is throwing up his transgressions in front of God and asking him, God, to deliver him. Do not make me the scorn of the fool. I am mute. I do not open my mouth, for it is you who have done it. Remove your stroke from me. I am spent by the hostility of your hand. When you discipline a man with rebukes for sin, you consume like a moth what is dear to him. Surely all mankind is mere breath. Hear my prayer, O Lord, and give ear to my cry. Hold not your peace at my tears, for I am a sojourner with you, a guest like all my fathers. Look away from me, that I may smile again, before I depart and am no more. He wants to die in peace, knowing that God has forgiven him, and that's what we all want. And that's why we're reading the Bible, the entire Bible, so that we can know God. And now I'm going to go to Hebrews. We're going to go to Hebrews chapter 11, verses 23 to 40. By faith, Moses, when he was born, was hidden for 3 months by his parents because they saw that the child was beautiful, and they were not afraid of the king's edict. That was to kill all the male Hebrew children. By faith, Moses, when he was grown up, refused to be called the son of Pharaoh's daughter, choosing rather to be mistreated with the people of God than to enjoy the fleeting pleasures of sin. He considered the reproach of Christ greater wealth than the treasures. He considered the reproach of Christ greater wealth with the treasures of Egypt, for he was looking to the reward. So Christ is Latin and or Greek for Messiah. And so if we were reading this from the Jewish point of view, he considered the reproach of Messiah greater wealth than the treasures of Egypt, for he was looking to the reward. By faith he left Egypt, not being afraid of the anger of the king, for he endured as seeing him who is invisible. Jesus was also under threat of death. Herod ordered the killing of every Hebrew baby under 2 years old in order to kill the future king, the Messiah. By faith, he kept the Passover and sprinkled blood so that the destroyer of the firstborn may not touch them. By faith, the people crossed the Red Sea as on dry land. But the Egyptians, when they attempted to do the same, were drowned. By faith, the walls of Jericho fell down after they had been encircled for 7 days. By faith, Rahab, the prostitute, did not perish with those who were disobedient, because she had given a friendly welcome to the spies. And what more shall I say? For time would fail me to tell of Gideon, Barak, Samson, Jephthah, of David, and Samuel, and the prophets, who through faith conquered kingdoms, enforced justice, obtained promises, stopped the mouths of lions, quenched the power of fire, escaped the edge of the sword, were made strong out of weakness, became mighty in war, put foreign armies to flight. Women received back their dead by resurrection. Some were tortured, refusing to accept release so that they might rise again to a better life. Others suffered mocking and flogging, and even chains and imprisonment. They were stoned. They were sawn in two. They were killed with the sword. They went about in skins of sheep and goats, destitute and afflicted, mistreated, of whom the world was not worthy, wandering about in deserts and mountains, and in dens and caves of the earth. And all these, though commended through their faith, did not receive what was promised, since God had provided something better for us, that apart from us, they should not be made perfect. So what that means is that because so many had failed in the wanderings, that didn't take away, in the wanderings in the desert, that didn't take away God's promise to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, but it did prevent the promise of walking into the promised land to some of them who had failed mightily. The golden calf incident, and there will be other sins that we're going to read about along the way, so that by the time they do cross into the promised land, there is a remnant. But God promised Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob that there would always be a remnant, and there indeed is. And that if they had not rejected Messiah, they may have kept him to themselves, because sometimes they had kept Torah to themselves. So because they did, we were able to be saved. And for that, we owe them a debt of gratitude, the Jews. One, for accepting Torah, because if they had not, the world would have ceased to exist in that very moment. And two, for giving us a chance at Messiah. And the rest we leave to God. Thank you for reading scripture with me today. God willing, I'll be back tomorrow.